What does leadership mean for you at that time?
If I could put it in one word, it was help people find a place.
Tell me where the ideal is coming from.
Oh, how do you make a concept real? So that is it. If leaders and young leaders can feel they have a stake in their own democracy, in their own country, in their own world, then they will learn how to use the tools to be more productive, proactive, and preventative.
What is leadership? How do you describe it in your own way?
Leadership is taking a risk to do something outside yourself. When people want to start with leadership and they think, well, where do we begin? Do you go to conferences? Do you read books? Do all that? No, you start. You just start. Find an opportunity to begin to lead and figure the rest out.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us in today's episode of the Obehi Podcast. I remain your host, Obehi Ewanfo, and of course, like you know, we are very passionate about the power of story, the power of your story, therefore, because your story is your key differentiator. If you are in anywhere and you think that you are competing with any person, I mean, if you're in business and you see that you are competing with other people, it means you haven't honed your story. It means you are not leveraging the power of your story. Because if you are leveraging the power of your story, there is no way you can compete with any person because there are no two people that are exactly the same. So that is why we are reminding you that you have superpower. It is your story, your lived experience, where you are coming from, what have happened to you, and what you have also happened to. So today, I have the honor of interviewing another interesting person. And we're going to be talking about, guess what? Leadership. And leadership is an important conversation that I think we should be talking about all the time, not only in political setting, but also in our day-to-day life. Because we even need to become good leader for ourselves. Because if you cannot lead yourself, then how are you going to lead other people? So leadership is a fundamental question that we need to respond to all the time. All right. So this is how we do it here. I don't introduce you, you introduce yourself because you do a better job doing that. What do you say?
It's great to be with you. I'm Daniel Johnson. I am a leadership development consultant who helps young people and adults find their passions, opportunities to lead, and to transform their abilities to be able to have an impact where they are and then in the wider world.
All right, you have heard from Daniel. Daniel, let's look at it this way. Why leadership? You could have been doing any other thing. Why choose leadership? Why?
Because we need it. Bottom line is we need it. Our world needs people who understand and have a passion for changing things for the better. Um, there's a lot of times we go through life and we don't really know what our purpose is or what the gravity to our existence is. And I found that when people develop their leadership skills, when they have a stake and responsibility for the people around them, they develop a stake and responsibility for the world around them, and then they can't help but to improve it. And if you improve one piece of the world around you, then that creates a ripple, like Robert F. Kennedy said in 1966 in Cape Town. It's these collection of ripples that can change the world. It can turn into a tide. So for me, leadership is unlocking, like you said in the beginning of this podcast, superpower, potential that is limitless.
Thank you so much for that, Daniel. Now let look at this. Let peel the layer back a little bit. Let's try to understand you. You are much younger. What are you thinking? What is occupying your day as a young adolescent? Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so I was about 16 when I began to lead, and really it came from this desire to help people. Uh, That's where I started, and then it became a life of its own. I was working with youth groups. I became the youngest person in Canada with a particular NGO working with teenagers, and I was trying to find and support students who were like me. I didn't feel like I really fit. I hated school. I didn't want to be there, uh, and and I was trying to build relationships and support other people a year younger than me, 2 years younger than me, while being mentored by adults to be able to find their path through. And really, I confronted my own leadership, where I was going to go, and what I was going to do, and if I would walk away. When I was in high school, when the kid in my math class committed a murder, and he was somebody that I was building a relationship with. I saw he was disenfranchised just like me. but it made me ask who I was, uh, take stock, what led me to this point, and what kind of leader I needed to become. Because as I've learned, leadership, it's not. And we hear this all the time. It's not about title. It's not about charisma. It's about having a stake. It's about shared ownership. It's about investing in other people, and doing it even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's hard, and especially when the world tells you to look away. So that's where I began in my teens and led me into my 20s. And I worked at youth centers, and I was in college and university, and I got burnt out. So when we're talking about mental health and work-life balance and all those sorts of things, I reached my limit, and I backed away for a couple of years, and I started working in television and working for a magazine, and honing different skills. But everything kind of led back to leadership and working particularly with young people and adults that care for them and adults that are leading in their world, and helping them acquire the skills to transform themselves, transform their purpose, and then transform the world around them. And then within all of that, that whole search for being uncomfortable. Leaders need to be uncomfortable. They need to seek new challenges. And so I chose something really different than everything I was doing up until that point in my life. And I joined the army as a reservist. And I thought, well, that's going to teach me a whole different capacity of teamwork, of problem solving, of working under pressure, but also the physical and mental uh, tasks and frameworks to be able to carry on and solve problems quickly. Um, and so all of that has kind of informed me on potential and possibility. And so working with young people and connecting to adults has really been the next step. And and we try to provide a lot of tools and a lot of coaching and opportunity for people to lead.
All right.
There's a great quote. Sorry.
No, 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 go, go. I will want to hear that
There's
quote.
it's a great quote. It says, "You can't learn how to swim without getting in the water," by Shivkira. And that's leadership. If you can go to seminars about leadership for every day of the year, you can read a million books on leadership, but until you're actually leading, you're not going to learn how to lead. And my focus has been get beside those people that are learning how to lead and help them unlock that potential.
That's interesting. That's interesting. All right, now I want to remain frozen for a second. I'm still looking at you as a young adolescent. What does leadership mean for you at that time?
Oh, it really meant help. If I could put it in one word, it was help people find a place. I remember in grade 12, we had to write an essay about our reflection on high school. And I went into the class and I wrote 2 3 pages on how I felt like a cow being herded down the hallways. And I grew up in Western Canada. There's lots of farms and cattle ranches. And we go to class, the bell rings, we're cattle prodded to our next class. We regurgitate the information. I didn't feel like I was learning. I was thinking critically. I felt like I was regurgitating so I could get the marks. And I remember when I got that paper back, uh, there was a test on form and function, so I passed that. But then the teacher wrote on the top of the page, "There's other options than public school, like homeschooling." Well, this is my final year, but that was just cementing it for me. I'm not seen. I'm not being heard. There was potential there for the teacher to tap into how do we make learning more meaningful for you, and they got out of it. They avoided it, and I felt like I wasn't there to be taught. She wasn't there to teach me. I was there to get grades, and that was it. So then on a social level, it was the same thing. I didn't feel like I was really fitting in. I wasn't there for, the pep rallies and all those sorts of things. I was there to try to find other kids like me that didn't feel like they fit, or they didn't feel like they were really growing, and then walk alongside them and help them find those opportunities.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. And now you work with young people, you said, correct? Do you primarily work with young people about leadership, or do you also work with maybe adults or something like that?
I do both. So with leadership, it's young people and adults. Um, Helping adults find their voice is the same as helping a teenager do that, but in different capacity. We also find ways for leaders to link together. So one of the things that we've created, we founded the Montreal International Women's Day Breakfast, and my partner in that, Denise Vitrumas, she kind of holds that community together, and she's driving it as part of the Women's Day breakfast. But it's all those things again. It's if we can't see each other, we can't hear from each other, we can't be in the same room, young people and adults, and talk about everything where color of your skin and gender and bias doesn't matter anymore. It's all about what challenges did you experience? How did you overcome those challenges? What stake do you have in the person sitting beside you at the table that you can help them find their way forward, with the end goal being that we're improving the world, whether it's in the boardroom or it's in the classroom or it's everywhere in between. How are we going to do that? So workshops with adults, creating mentoring opportunities with adults, and then creating these kind of networking platforms and opportunities so everyone gets in the same room to look each other in the eye and can celebrate our victories, but also can address our challenges.
Lovely. Uh, um, I'm curious because everybody have been a child. Now you are no longer an adolescent. You have been that. Now you are working with adolescent because at least one of the things that I think we usually get when we do that is that we have the chance to learn again. So I am sort of curious. What are they telling you about leadership? What are they? What is their perspective? Maybe you might compare it to your time, and of course now you are past that, and you have double advantage now. So I'm curious about that.
From young people,
Yeah,
well, teaching and learning, I believe, is an exchange. It's not a one-way street, and I guess that goes back to my experience in high school. Is if you're not learning from teaching, then you're not teaching correctly. So the students teach us as much as we teach them, and what we're learning from them about leadership is that they have not learned how to risk, at least this generation, but they want to risk. They want to risk to be able to do something that's bigger. Um, that there's disenfranchisement, there's the polarization in the world around them, but students, young people, at least in North America, I can't speak for everywhere else in the world, but in my region of North America, they, if they're keyed into leadership, they're able to have quick opinions about things that are more philosophical for adults. So if you talk to a young person about their perspective on AI, they will speak to all of the things that are the challenges with AI, from environmental impact um, to limiting your ability to think creatively or independently, and then the existential thoughts about AI and where it might lead. And that goes into pretty much everything within their experience. They've been through a lot of challenges, this generation, and experiences with the global pandemic and those sorts of things, but they're coming out of it with a little bit more awareness, I find, and a little bit more passion in being involved in the conversation. And we follow that. A lot of leadership that we do with young people is we follow it. We never say no to them. We teach them how to make informed decisions, how to dream big, start small, and scale quickly. And on the path to that development, they begin to find the way that will be successful for whatever initiative. So we created this platform for students to work directly with politicians on the international level and the federal level and the provincial level. And those politicians bring students one problem that's currently before the government. It's not a fake issue. It's not an invented issue. It's a real issue. And the students have 3 hours to solve the problem and come back to the politician with their answers. And it's scary for these students. It's intimidating to stand in front of a senator or a member of parliament or an ambassador and share their ideas. But they do it, and they do it because they are developing the confidence that their opinions, their perspective, their worldview that is being shaped is important and has impact. And if they learn that at an early age, well, like you said, it's a superpower. It will transform the world around them, and we need to rely on them to be able to open up positive doors of possibility.
that's great. I wish I was a child and I'm having that kind of chance because I will have a lot of questions to ask these politicians.
Yeah.
Anyway, where is that idea even coming from? Now you are arranging these. Those are real politicians. Those are real senators that are having public offices. They are coming to meet these children. and these children are finding a solution to a hypothetical situation or a real situation. Tell me where the ideal is coming from. What is really happening there?
How do you make a concept real? So that is it. How do you make a concept real? Democracy is a concept. Democracy only works if people participate. So if people are not going to vote, that's a problem for all of us. If people don't understand how the system works, that's a problem for all of us. We're now looking at how do we expand this internationally and work with schools in different time zones in different regions of the world to work with their politicians and our politicians and start a geopolitical conversation. That's where we'd like to go with this. But it's really, if you don't have a stake, and it comes back right to it, if you don't have a stake in it, if you're not don't have a sense that you are sharing in the responsibility for the outcome, and that's for a portfolio, and in the business world, and whatever your task is, in in the boardroom, or whatever company you're running, if you don't have a stake in it on any level of employee, you're not going to perform to the level where you're going to be successful, and then the team starts suffering. So if leaders and young leaders can feel they have a stake in their own democracy, in their own country, in their own world, then they will learn how to use the tools to be more productive, proactive, and preventative where they live. And we translate that right down to the local level. If you're going to be a parent, what kind of parent you're going to be? Well, if you're answering these questions about climate change and how it affects Indigenous people in the North, in Canada, well, you might be a more conscious parent. You might be a more conscious consumer. You might be a stronger advocate when people need support and need help.
All right. Just then, I was having an interview with an educationist, and luckily, it was also from Canada. Yes, I'm having two interviews today from Canada. We were having a reflection about education. We're saying that there is a deficit that I would complain to him. I'm going to complain to you too. In that, I don't know if it is the same context, but okay, let's look at it this way. In that, many people are made to read what is in the book, and they base everything on that. But we are saying we cannot do that because that is too limiting. You are living in an environment, in a society. Why don't you just open up the mind of the people so they can embrace the entire society and look at the solution from 360 degrees? You don't need to look at the solution because Einstein said so. Einstein doesn't live now. We are living now. Okay, we can take some of those resources, but we must find a solution looking at what is happening around us. So that whatever I'm studying in school must help me to find a solution to my actual solution, the real solution. I was making this case telling him that where I'm coming from in Nigeria, when I was growing up, my grandmother, when she is sick or somebody is sick in our family, she walk into the bush. She would return with three different, maybe sometimes like 7 or 10 different type of herbs. She put it together, she boils it, you drink it, you are well again. And I'm saying now we go to school, we don't even know the name of the plant where she's bringing those things from. We don't know, if you don't know the name of the plant, how do you make the connection? How do you know what you are going to put together? I am educated, but I'm ignorant now of my environment. So my question for you, therefore, Daniel, is when you are doing this experiment, are you focusing just on the book, or how much of it are you doing experimenting on the environment of these children so that they have a broader understanding of their community, their society? Because I say you mention climate change there, so that really triggered me. Please tell me something more about that.
Well, you're really in my wheelhouse now, and I love this stuff. So, yeah, like, my conversation in the educational community is really centered around this. We operate in education in the 1940s model. That model is not fit for purpose in 2026. And so, what I have been working on and what I've been doing is to try to bridge the gap. I don't think the current classroom, you go in, a teacher teaches you, you regurgitate the information, you pass. That's how I felt going through high school. So I see it, and it's not all this way. There's competencies for critical thinking, collaboration, all those sorts of things. But what's lacking is making learning make sense and taking into consideration the rapid development of society. since the introduction of the iPod. When digital technology became personal and became transferable at such a rapid rate, it changed the way that we think, the way we build relationships, the way we develop worldview, the way that we act in our worldview, the way that we respond in our world. And the education system is a very slow moving machine, and it has not caught up to that development with young people. So my opportunity, I feel, and the need that I feel is to bridge that gap, offer opportunities for young people, but also for adults and for parents to be able to learn outside the classroom about what they're learning in the classroom, but it's real, it's internalized, and it's being practiced. And that's where the transformation comes in. That's experiential education. It's transformative. Um, and you begin to see these concepts becoming part of people's ethos, and that's where education is headed, I believe. And I think it might take 50, 60 years to get there. We're kind of at the forefront of that. um, and it, but it's so many different things. How do you make climate change real to a kid, to a student? How do you explain uh, indigenous relationships in a way that's meaningful, that's not just in the textbook? Well, the reality is you have to find a way to make a relationship with it, with a young person, that's not on a phone or on a device. It has to be real. And that's where we have the opportunity to put students in a room with elders and knowledge keepers, for indigenous people, so that they can learn about the plants, and they can learn about the medicinal properties of our environment, and they can also learn about community and restorative justice. They can learn about the pain and suffering that indigenous people have felt, but also the opportunity, not only felt but experienced in real time over hundreds of years. But we can find the opportunity to find that reconciliation. And you can't do it in a classroom. You can't do it just by having a test or a paper on it. You need to do it in relationships. Climate change is the same thing. If we're going to talk about democracy and polarization, we have to be in the same room and we have to talk. Well, how do you do that? Well, you need to teach young people how to talk, how to debate, how to share ideas. One of the diplomats we work with talks about how to find commonality with people you're morally opposed to. That's
That's
a great
interesting.
question for adults and for kids.
That's interesting. But what about maybe also the possibility sometimes, I don't know, I'm just thinking aloud now, of bringing in these people of maybe generational change, of differences as it were, like older people into the community of these young people to sort of interact, to see, to ask questions, to just do things together. Because that is also education. Because before we have this industrial, where we have this computerized system, where everybody is in a square, we have a standardized way of life. We are not standardized as people. We don't receive the same thing. We don't have, but now we have to pass the same exam. That is the way we are now. We are square. This is who we are. But before we got to that point, we had education before that we learn. The elders will teach you, they will mentor you because they know what you are good at. They will basically prune you until you become a professional and expert in that. What is maybe the type of education that we have today with computer, AI, jet? We can still bring the elder to the classroom, for example, to share with the children. Or can we say that what they know is no longer relevant? I don't know if that is how we're going to see it.
I think it's relevant, but it's relationship. You're right. Like, I mean, we need to have these connections. Um, I think, like, I was approached by a young person a few weeks ago, and they're in university, and they're playing football, and they're talking about, well, they're dreaming big of what they want to do next. Well, okay, who have you talked to about this? Who can guide you? And nobody. He just wants to get to whatever league, the NFL, the CFL, whatever. And so I said, well, you should talk to this person who's an agent for the NFL and CFL. And he lit up. And that's where education becomes real. He's a student athlete. He's been a student athlete his whole life. He's played multiple different sports. He's been coached by multiple different people on different levels. But if you can make the connection where you can make their passion real, but also with their responsibility and what they're doing as a student athlete, and growing within their community, then you can change the world. And it's the same from in terms of a student that thinks they want to be a politician. Well, it's great, fantastic. You want to be a politician, great. Are you in the room with politicians? Well, let's get you in the room with politicians. Let's talk about the challenges. We tell young people all the time, if you have an idea of what you want to do, just an idea, you don't have to be devoted to it. You don't have to decide that's going to be your career. Volunteer. Start volunteering with toward that organization or within that organization or within an organization that represents that. Just get around the people, and they begin to learn, but also network, also learn how to advocate for themselves and to talk, and they begin to grow in a different way.
That's lovely. Learning by experience. Okay, now Daniel, you are teaching people, you are teaching these young people about leadership. Okay, let's say we meet an individual, he doesn't understand what that means. What is leadership? How do you describe it in your own way?
Leadership is taking a risk to do something outside yourself. Taking a, we define it like this for young people. Leadership is taking initiative to make a difference in enabling others. If you can do those three things, if you can take initiative and make a difference, whatever it is in your world, and you enable others while you're doing it, you're leading. The rest are details. The rest are just figuring out ways to grow stronger in that. And within that idea is, if you're going to grow as a leader, whether you're a CEO or whether you're a student, you have to learn how to be a serious introspector. You need to self-reflect. If your team isn't going well, the first thing that you do is don't blame the team. The second thing you do is don't blame the circumstance. All of that is relative. The first thing you do is look inside yourself, your own leadership development, your experience. And where I started from, when we started talking, go back to the beginning. What are the relationships and the experiences that you had that would shape your leadership ability? Now critique that. See what's working, what isn't working within the context of your leadership group, with your team, with your objective. And then and then you start working on it. Do you understand how to make a clear end state? You understand what your role is, and we break it down into the W's, right? Who's on your team? What are you doing? The most important thing is why are you doing it? If you don't know your why, you will lose your way. And we say that over and over and over again with adults we work with students. um, and where is it happening? When is it happening? Keeping people on task for dates, times, responsibilities, and that's where the shared responsibilities, the stakeholder aspect comes from, answering all those questions in terms of purpose and drive, commitment, and teamwork. But the most important thing, besides the why that a leader needs to operate in and understand clearly, and I think it gets messy for a lot of leaders, is the how is not the responsibility of the leader. The how is the responsibility of the team. And if you get engrossed in the how, you're not leading, because you're not working on that stakeholder aspect with the people that you're leading. And so we teach everyone within the transformation of leadership that the how isn't your most important detail. The why is your most important detail. Enabling others and getting out of the way. And when people want to start with leadership and they think, well, where do we begin? Do you go to conferences? Do you read books? Do all that? No, you start. You just start. Find an opportunity to begin to lead and figure the rest out. It will become clear if you are a serious introspector, if you're focused on taking initiative, if you're trying to make a difference, and if you're enabling others. We learn the most about ourselves when we take our eyes off our own existence and our own self and our own needs and wants, and we put them on other people and what their needs and wants are. Once you do that, you open up a whole new area of learning in yourself that just happens naturally.
Thank you for that. Yeah, there are a lot of opportunities sometimes that we don't tap into because sometimes we think it's not there because we didn't open up ourselves, so we can see it. We can see it if we don't open up ourselves. Okay, now when you look at these children that you are imparting, Daniel, what do you see? Okay, I'm trying to say what make you want to do this, to continue to do this. What is motivating you for it?
I think it's helping people find possibility. It's really that. I feel like I have been given the opportunity and the tools to be able to um, help people unlock their potential, to make sense of the world around them so that they can have a positive impact. The thing that drives me is that everybody has a place and everybody has a purpose. Everybody's part of the conversation. The things that are the problem, we can find solutions for. We just have to be willing to work for it. There is no reason why someone feels marginalized. There's no reason why people are left out of the conversation. And there's no reason for racism and discrimination. But if we don't confront that by building positive relationships and finding opportunities to take care of the stuff that's right in front of us, to um, make it more positive, to own it, to have ownership, and starting with our education, ownership, starting at work, ownership at home, ownership in our communities, then we're lacking that momentum. We're lacking that ability to try and make this world a better place. If I were to wrap it all up into that, it's really that is that if there's a better world out there, it involves all of us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this thing that you do, is it a business or is it a kind of? Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, the easiest way to describe it is consulting. So I work in educational communities. I work with students. We create opportunities for young people to plug in, like the Montreal International Breakfast. We coach students to be able to do TED Talks, and then to work with political leaders. So it's really if people have a need, if students want to find the next level of their leadership development, if they want to connect the classroom to the real world, then we're the bridge. We've found ways to do that. If there's other schools and like-minded people out there in the world that see potential in this, then we're excited to work with them. And just to back up a little bit on what we were talking about earlier is the transformation of education. We have found that we can accomplish more in 9 hours outside the classroom, where students are focused and engaged and involved in the learning, uh, than you can accomplish in 9 months in the classroom. And it's not that the classroom isn't part of that, it's building the whole foundation for what students are doing outside the classroom, but that is essential. They In today's world, in modern education, students have to learn outside the classroom, and the education model doesn't provide it. So what I do and what advance my leadership does is provide that out of school opportunity.
Okay, tell me about the how. Um, Now we see what you do. We see the people that you are doing it for. If I can even see the children just looking through your eyes. But tell me about the methodology. How do you do it to get results?
It starts with mission. So the first thing we ask a young person is, "What's your mission? What's your goal? What do you want?" And it's like that for an adult too. Is what do you want? If you don't serve that first, you're not going to have the ability to communicate clearly and effectively. And when you are challenging them and things get uncomfortable, you have to go back to the mission, your why. So we always start with the why, and that will change over time, and it's up to the learner uh, to do that, to do the work to figure it out. So we start there, and then if it's a clearly defined mission, like let's say I want to be the best football player I can be, or I want to run my own football development organization, or I want to be a coach. Great, fantastic. So let's start unplugging that. What have you done? Where have you started from? And then where do you need to go? And then that's making sure that that young person has the key relationships to be able to talk with people in those positions already. They can volunteer, they can be mentored, they can walk with that. So if a student wants to be a doctor, in my mind, instantly I'm thinking, okay, we're going to get them in to watch a surgery happen at one of our teaching hospitals with a surgeon. And so there's a whole bunch of work that will happen to that. And either they will get to the point where they have to go in and watch the surgery happen and do the pre op and the post op with the surgery team, and they'll realize this isn't for me. I can't go in there, or they will be like, "This is my bread and butter. I can't believe it. I'm 16 years old, and I am sitting here in this surgery watching it happen." We had an opportunity to work with artists from a multinational animation studio, and to have young people who are interested in graphic design to be able to sit with people who are making movies that they go and watch. It ignites their desire to follow through with their responsibilities at home, at school, within the classroom so they can get to that level, that level that they just touched, the inspiration that ignites inside of them. So how do we do it? It's really those steps. Do you have a clearly defined mission? Great, fantastic. Who can we get you in touch with, and how can we teach you to get to that point? Fantastic. We will teach you how to communicate. We're going to teach you how to smarty plan. We're going to teach you how to adapt and overcome, to build teams, to solve problems, to adapt. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be risky. You're going to have to sacrifice some time. You're going to have to learn how to deal with your schedule. You're going to have to be an advocate for your mental health, but you're also going to have to develop the tools for your mental health along the way. And then we're going to test you at the end. We're going to put you in charge. You're going to teach. You're going to lead. You're going to have to reach your outcome. And we don't care if you get there. What we care about is, did you learn from the failure? Are you able to repeat success? And are you taking initiative? Are you making a difference? And are you enabling others? And that's the recipe.
Okay. Now, how much of this work does psychology might be involved in? Okay, I'm trying to put it like this. Yesterday, I was having a kind of a strategy call with my client. We do this quite often. She was complaining that okay, there are some people who usually just come to her and tell her they like what she's doing, and they compliment her a lot, but they don't take action. When you try to move there beyond that, they don't take action. I say, well, that is the point. It's because people don't know what they want, really. Because if they know what they want, you don't have any job. If I know what I want, I can get it. I can ask you for it. That is the point. That is where many people are. Okay, now this is a question for you, Daniel. Now, when you meet some of these people that they don't know how to choose where they are going because you have a vehicle, your system is a vehicle to take them there. But if they don't know where they are going now, how can you help them? So help me to understand how you do that.
Being around uh, an environment that is collaborative. So if they don't know where they want to go, if a leader doesn't want to go to, many adults don't know what they want to do. They just know they want to do something and they want to go somewhere and they want to have some sort of impact or significance. Great, fantastic. And purpose, it's a billion-dollar industry, finding helping people find purpose. But really, both of those things for me are intertwined. Is purpose, and then what do you want to do to lead, where are you going in life, all those sorts of things. So let's go back. If you don't have a clear mission and you don't clearly know what you want to do or what you want to achieve, then we tell people to start with what you're interested in. What are you interested in? You got to be interested in something. And teenagers will say nothing. But you dig a little deeper and you find, okay, is it art? Is it music? Is it just sitting at home and being quiet? Is it watching TV? Is it sport? Is it whatever? So whatever you're interested in, that's the nugget. You start there. Okay, you're interested in that. Okay, let's put you on a team with people where you can be safe. And leaders are all different, and there's all different types of leaders. You don't have to be upfront. We tell students, if you want the microphone, that's the least important job. The real leadership is everything that happens before the microphone. It's all the details and practice and relationships and trials and failures that go into that. If you want to be upfront, you're going to be disappointed because that's not leadership. And so within the team, there's all different types of leaders, and to see each other and to know what each other's experiences are helps build a stronger environment. So there's safety in that for somebody who doesn't know what they want to do. There's also opportunity for exploration. And so we tell students, explore. Uh, you don't know what you want to do? Well, come with us to the hospital and come and see. Come with us to the studio and come and see. Sit in on this conversation where we're talking about some pretty hard things that the country is facing. You're totally bored by the conversation on tariffs. Great. Well, that's probably not for you. let's let's go in a different direction. But it's that. But it if they don't have initiative, they're not going to last. And I learned this in the army right away. Basic training is the way that my squad, my platoon was finding the leaders was through initiative by asking for volunteers. And so it was a relentless request for volunteers. And it started off, and it would be easy because you're all awake and you're, ready to go and you could go do stuff. But by, a couple of weeks in, and you're living in the forest under a tree and you're carrying all this stuff and you're tired and you're hungry and you're trying to pay attention because you're supposed to be learning so many different things, and they're asking for volunteers. Who's going to go get the water? Who's going to carry this? Who's going to do that? And it's the same people over and over again. Well, that's them separating the leaders from the followers. And that's exactly what they were doing. So in leadership, there is also the element, whether you're in business and you have a company, it's the same thing. Who are the people that are taking initiative? And if you are somebody taking initiative, well, you're going to lead. You're going to be able to take on responsibility. So start putting yourself in positions where you're tested, where you're uncomfortable, because a leader who has never been uncomfortable and is not uh, comfortable with being uncomfortable, others won't follow. You have to be comfortable with discomfort, with making decisions on and adapting and letting go of what absolutely has to be done so that you can get to where you need to go by enabling the people around you. And so all of this is nuance. Like, these are things we teach kids, we teach adults, we teach everybody these things, because it's a whole process that is learned over time.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, as we were talking about initiative, I was remembering the book by Napoleon Hill, A Man of Initiative. I think that was how Napoleon Hill was saying that a man of initiative will always find a way somehow. Because things will always happen, no? You will always see the pieces brought in front of you. It is those pieces that you need to be able to build the finished product at the end of the day. If you don't have initiative, they're just pieces. But if you have initiative, you will find something to do with it. You will create something. Okay, now,
Yep.
there are these young people that are looking at you. I can see them. They are looking at you. They are listening to you. Tell them why it is important to pay attention to leadership.
Because uh, I don't know. I gotta think about how I'm going to say this, but if you are not paying attention to leadership, and if you're not paying attention to the role and the impact that you have in leadership, then you will be impacted by those who will take leadership. And those who take leadership aren't always interested in a positive impact or moving the conversation forward or opportunity forward for everybody. Um, so I think the more people who learn how to lead, and it doesn't have to be from up front, it has to be you have ownership of the world around you. You own your responsibilities. You are building relationships that matter. And it's not relationships that are exclusively strategic. Networking isn't about trying to find the next person who's going to help you or do something for you. Relationships are key to understanding the human condition and listening to other people's perspective, just like your podcast here is. That growth happens from good storytelling. Growth happens from walking with somebody. You don't necessarily have to be in their shoes, but you definitely got to walk with them. And we tell young people, if you have the opportunity to be in the shadow of greatness, of somebody who's doing something powerful in a leadership environment, then enjoy that. The shadow is where the glare of the sun is kind of dissipated, where it's cool for a moment, where you can reflect, where you can think. um, but it's all those reasons. The leadership is paramount in a world that's being pulled apart, in a world that sees differences as opportunity and division as the path to success. There has to be leaders in there saying, no, my family is important, my relationships are important. Success isn't the endless pursuit of money, position, and power. Those are just distractions, and they're tools, and they're roads, but they're not the core value of an effective or successful leader. That's not what leadership is measured by. Leadership is measured by the ability for somebody to improve the world around them in some way and enabling others. And if you can do that, you can send out that ripple of hope. I mean, it's more relevant now than in 1966 when Robert Kennedy said it. But that's the goal. It has to be that improvement for everyone. And if you do that, like I said before, you take your eyes off yourself and put it on the plight of other people or people around you, you will unlock amazing possibility for yourself, because you'll understand yourself a lot more. You'll understand your community a lot more, and you'll understand that you do have those abilities and that superpower, like you said, to be able to affect change.
Thank you so much, Daniel. It has been a pleasure talking with you here. It has really been a fantastic conversation. And of course, to all the young people that are listening to us, you need to listen to what Daniel is saying. You see, it is said somewhere that those who will change the world are those who are crazy enough to believe that they can do it. And guess what? They will. So if you believe in something, take action, do it. Because if you don't do it, nothing is going to change for you, but the world is going to move on. So, Daniel, thank you so much for what you are doing, imparting young people. That is what we need. I really appreciate that.
Well, thank you. Thanks for the conversation. I was happy to speak with you, and keep doing what you're doing. Storytelling will change the world as long as we're listening. So thank you.